What's up, people? Hope you guys are doing good so far on this Monday. And we've got something that we got to do one more time this year. It's Snap Count Monday. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. Normally, when I do a Snap Count Monday, I'm trying to gauge how good a job we're doing at preserving ourselves, right? I'm trying to judge how good a job we're doing at making sure nobody's getting worked too hard. That's not really the case when you're in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you just got to go. Whatever you can do to give yourself the best chance to win, you do it. Especially when you're going into a game as a massive underdog like we were on Saturday. So this is more just information rather than anything overly deep in terms of like, oh, this means this means that. There's going to be a little bit of that. There's going to be a little bit of that. But most of this stuff is just going to be kind of like, well, how good a job did we do at getting our best players on the field as much as possible, rather than saying, oh, we needed to do this because we need to preserve this guy for this part of the season and we need to establish this guy's ability to play so he's ready for the end of the season. No, it's the end of the season now. So it's different. Okay. So with that in mind, we're only going to look at the snaps from this game because the big picture doesn't matter as much now. The big picture is that hopefully you kind of meted things out well enough in the regular season to where your guys can go in a game like this. And that's going to be subjective, but we lost and it was a pretty bad loss, so maybe I think there's a pretty good argument to make that maybe we didn't, but let's let's see what we can see starting with the offensive side of things. Honestly, looking at this, I'm pretty understanding of it, right? Like, okay, the whole offensive line played the whole game except for Blythe, who missed 3 plays, which Kyle Fuller took over for. And that makes sense, right? Gabe Jackson had to. I would have been interested to see if Gabe Jackson played the whole game, knowing if Phil Haynes was behind him. But we'll never know. So, yeah, that. You had Stone Forsythe play 6 snaps as like a swing tackle, I believe, and Jake Curhan the same. So we're experimenting with that stuff, I think mostly because we lost Will Dissly. I like the creativity, but I gotta say, it seems to me that it didn't work that well. Forsythe had a penalty in this game, and overall, when we've tried to use it, it feels like those plays don't work that well. So my current inclination is to suspect that maybe we need to find something a little better when we're down a tight end. Or I guess maybe we need a 4th tight end. So beyond the offensive line, Gino played every snap, of course. That goes without saying. The wide receiver room, Metcalf played 84%. Lockett played about 80%. And Cade Johnson played 65%. So a lot of run for Cade. Made a couple catches. I think he had like 3 on the day. Nothing remarkable, but he did fine. And Derek Young played 13. So that's going to be an interesting conversation as we move towards 2023. Which of these young receivers has more promise going into 2023? Cade Johnson or Derek Young? Now, Derek Young is kind of getting used more creatively. We line him up at fullback sometimes. We line him up in the backfield, that kind of stuff, whereas Cade Johnson seems like a pure slot, which is why I think Cade played a lot in this game. We needed a real slot receiver. And while Cade Johnson has limitations in his game, he is a pure slot receiver. So I think that's why that happened. But both those guys are going to be intriguing to watch going forward. And Laquan Treadwell played 5 snaps, so he basically got shoved to the side as the season went on, which makes sense. He wasn't really doing that much. Ken Walker played 48 snaps, or 71%, and DJ Dallas played 23 or 34%. Now, on the one hand, I think some people might have preferred if we had played Walker more, because Dallas didn't play especially well, and Walker is our best running back. But it seemed to me that Walker was not 100%, and there's only so much you can do. So the usage of the running backs didn't really bother me. By the way, I want to go ahead and go on record and say this real quick. The 3rd and 8, where we ran the draw play, that should have worked. That was a great play call that 100% should have worked. Austin Blythe blew his block. So A lot of people were upset we ran that play. Initially, I was too, but then I had a look at it and I was like, I see why Gino checked to that. That makes all the sense in the world. You just need your players to execute. And that play is another reason why Austin Blythe needs to not be here in 2023, unless he wants to be a backup. But yeah, I think the split between Walker and Dallas was necessary. If Walker was 100%, I think he plays like 55 to 60 snaps. I do. And I wouldn't say that would be a good thing, but it would be a necessary thing in this circumstance. Other than that, Colby Parkinson continues to outsnap Noah Fant. Colby played about 2/3 of the game. Fant played a little bit less, 56%. And Mabry played 3 snaps, so he's basically just picking up the occasional 3 tight end set snap. Not really utilizing him, but overall, this offense stuff I think makes pretty reasonable sense when you don't have Disley. Okay, now let's jump on over to the defense here real quick and see what we can see. So you've got Cody Barton here playing every snap, and obviously we all know now. I think we all understand that he put it on tape that he's not that good. And then you had Tanner Muse playing about 2/3 of the snaps, a little bit more than 2/3. And I know Alexander Johnson played 12 snaps, but I think he was playing those snaps mostly as an edge because Darrell Taylor got hurt. So even without that, we were playing 2 middle linebackers a lot. Like Barton was always on the field and Muse was almost always on the field. And somebody like a Kobe Bryant, our nickel corner, was only on the field 42% of the time. So it's that thing that I've been talking about this year a little bit, where once teams figured out that it was better to force us into our base defense and not have Kobe on the field at all, only have 2 corners, life got hard. And you can see that in this game. Part of the reason why we struggled. As much as Kobe Bryant is not a great nickel corner, I'd rather have him out there than our weak interior linebacker group. And that, I think, was part of the downfall. You can see that Woolen and Jackson played every snap. So those are your 2 outside corners. And then you have one other cornerback playing, Kobe, and he played 27 snaps. So I think that was part of the reason why the defense had problems. And that is something that you desperately have to fix this offseason. You might have to get 2 new linebackers. I didn't mind the way Tanner Muse played overall. I thought he played okay when he came in. But I don't know if I can commit to him as a starter. Diggs played every snap as he pretty much always does. Ryan Neal missed some snaps. I think he got hurt at one point, came back in, and we saw a little bit extra Jonathan Abram because of it. We didn't see that much of Abram overall, which I wasn't crazy about, but at the end of the day, Ryan Neal's played so well this year, he deserves to play a lot. Now, I don't think Neal played well in this game, which shouldn't shock anybody because he just came back from an injury. But I wouldn't mind seeing Abram out there a little bit just to throw some blitzes at the 49ers to see what they can do. So that's it for the secondary. Like I said, the linebackers were basically on the field a lot. The edge, Nwosu played 48 snaps, which at this point it's understandable. He played about 3/4 of the game. Fine. Bruce Irvin, second on the team in snaps from the edge position. Yeah, people are going to have strong opinions on that. I think we kind of had to because Taylor got hurt and ended up only playing 19 snaps in this game. But I think a lot of people would say we should have let Mafe play a little bit more. Now, what I would say about that is Mafe still actually played about 30 snaps, so he still played a lot. I don't know if a playoff game against an offense like the Niners offense is the moment you want to say, okay, Mafe, you've been playing 30 to 35 snaps at most all year. Now you're going to play 50 or even 45. I don't know. I don't know about that. Remember, Mafe still has a lot to learn. But I can understand why Irvin played as much as he did because Taylor got hurt. If Taylor did not get hurt, I hope the plan was to have Irvin play like 25 snaps at most. But that's the hand we got dealt. Mafe played 29 snaps. Taylor played 19. Irvin played 34. It's making the best of a pretty lackluster situation. Oh, and by the way, A. Johnson got 12. So that's how the linebacker spread went, the edge. And the defensive line, like they always do, they do what they can. Nobody played more than 34 snaps. Puna and Q. Jeff played 34. Harrison Woods played 31. Collier played 20, which, I mean, that tells you how bad the depth is. Adams played 18. It's actually really good. Like, the spread of snaps on this defensive line was really good for most of the year, I think. And in this game, that's about as good as you can hope for. You've got two players who play slightly more than half of the snaps. You got two players who play slightly less. And then you have two players picking up whatever's left over. So that leaves you in a lot of two-man fronts, admittedly, and that's unfortunate. But do three-man fronts stop the run better? I already made a video like 2 months ago talking about how in that Raiders game, we tried the three-man fronts, and we got run all over anyway. So at the end of the day, these players are flawed. I freely admit that. And it's hard for them to get anything done. But I think that in terms of getting the players on the field, this staff did the best that they could. Where this staff really let us down was how they utilized the personnel that was out there on things like blitzing and aggression and things that are unexpected. We didn't do that stuff. Apparently in this game our blitz rate was like 12.5%, and some people have said it was actually lower. That number is actually deceptive. It might have been below 10% against Brock Purdy. So yeah, that's not good. But this stuff is. The snap count stuff I'm pretty on board with. I don't really think we made any big mistakes in this game in terms of who we played and how much we played them. The mistakes are we just need some better players and we need better scheme for the players who are out there. And that's your final snap count Monday of the season. Overall this year in this area, I think we did pretty well. All right, catch y'all later. Go Hawks.